Ann, it's nice to visit with you today, and we'd like to find out about your history and your experience here in Thomas and different places that were here that you can remember and things that you did. Now, you mentioned that you were actually born in St. George. What grade were you in when you came here?
I imagine around the 5th grade or 6th grade.
Okay, all right.
No,
And who all came?
my mother and father, and I had 2 brothers,
Okay.
and I had 3 sisters.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so there were 6 of you
Mm-hmm.
in your family. Yeah. Okay. And where did you first live when you came to Thomas?
We lived on Bunker Hill.
Okay.
There on the top.
Okay. Did you say your dad was a miner?
Yeah, he worked in the mines.
So he worked for Davis Coal and Coke?
Yeah.
Which mine did he work in?
There in town, I think. Here in town. Down on Front Street, down there.
Okay.
You worked down there.
Okay, so that was the one in back of the Esso station?
Yeah.
Or okay. What things would you buy at the B&L?
Just what you needed, like for food or something like that.
Did your mother stay at home while your
Yeah.
dad worked in the mines?
Yeah, she never worked. She worked at home with the kids.
Okay, and do you know how many years your dad worked in the mines?
No.
Okay. Did he work there until retirement?
No. My father traveled around. He didn't stay in one place very long.
Okay.
He was one of those that wanders.
Okay. So what, did he go to different mines or
Well, he worked in the woods, and
logging?
stuff like that, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it was all a lot of hard work that he did
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. It wasn't easy, so
Yeah.
the whole life wasn't very easy. So, it just a long time ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And now I guess you can, since the mines didn't start closing up until 1950, I guess you can remember when all the deep mines were still open. We had 9 mines between Thomas and Douglas. So did people mostly walk to work, or did some of them drive to work?
Yeah, I remember people going to work, yeah.
Uh-huh.
So I imagine the ones that like in Pierce and Kempton, those places, they probably walked if they lived there.
Uh-huh.
They would just walk to work.
Yeah.
Imagine.
Okay. What was the town like when you were young and came here?
Oh, it was a booming town. A lot of people. Nice theater. It was just a nice place.
So even when you were young, it had already been sold, the building which was the Cottrell House originally.
Yeah.
So you remember after it had been sold to the Sutton family for the movie theater.
Yep.
Okay.
It was really nice. Beautiful.
Was the bar still in there from when Cottrell still had it?
No, I don't remember a bar in there.
Okay.
So.
Because Mr. Cottrell had a saloon down on one side when he still had it. And so I guess after Mr. Sutton bought it, then he changed it. Yeah. So was the theater usually packed back then?
Oh, yeah. I mean, people didn't have anything to do, so they go to the movies. It was a beautiful theater.
Uh-huh.
It was really, you know, remember the carpeted stairway all the way up, and it was really beautiful.
Uh-huh.
So,
do you remember any of the movies you saw there, or what they cost?
I don't remember that now.
Okay. Do you remember when Ben-Hur and Gone with the Wind played there?
I saw movies, but I don't remember what I saw. You know,
Uh-huh.
You know.
Because I can remember when those were there, and you know, this line was clear down the street with people waiting to get a ticket to get in.
And I remember everybody would go downtown and park and watch everybody, you know, go in and out of the theater and the varsity and those places, you know. So,
Uh-huh.
you know, that was a big thing to do.
Uh-huh.
They couldn't get in the movies, so they sat and watched it other people.
Uh-huh.
So.
Do you remember what other stores or businesses were in town then?
Yeah, Ruby Rubenstein's store.
Now, was it in the building that they owned where the Flying Pig was, or had they moved into the Shalansky building by that time?
They were in the Shalansky building.
Okay.
No.
And Shalansky was on one side and Rubenstein.
Molly, yeah, and Rubenstein's on the other, and then Mike Crusoe's.
What all did Mike Ferruso sell in his store?
Mostly everything, I guess, you know. Mostly meats. You
Uh-huh.
I think, too. And Ruby's did, too.
Uh-huh.
You know, so.
Were Rubenstein's and Ferruso's both mainly butcher shops, or did they sell a variety?
I think they were mostly butcher shops.
Okay.
You know, so. Because Rubenstein's had a farm down Sugarlands.
Okay.
And they raised cattle and stuff down there.
Uh-huh.
And they butchered them down there. And they'd bring them back up to Thomas.
Okay. Were there any Jewish people here besides the Rubensteins and Shalanskys that you remember?
I don't think so.
So the others had left.
There may have been some, I don't know.
But probably
did,
before your time.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of the old timers who were from different countries?
No, I don't think, not right off.
Okay, because I can remember Gentonio's lived across the street from us up here at the top of Brown Street. He was from Italy. I can't remember if she was or not, but he still spoke broken English.
Oh, did he?
And then there was Mrs. Malakwish, 2 doors up from us. She was from Austria, and she was a hard worker. Her whole backyard was a garden, and back then she leased a bunch of property up here by the Catholic cemetery from the railway, and she had a big garden up there. Do you remember the war years from World War II when a lot of the soldiers would go there?
I can remember World War II because we lived up in Smoky Hall at that time.
Okay.
And
down at Parsons.
Yeah, down at Parsons. And you couldn't have a light on because it would be, you know, like sirens and stuff, you know, to get everything black. You know, you couldn't have lights or anything. I remember that. And I remember one time we had a light in there and we didn't have the blinds pulled or something.
Uh-huh.
And they come and knock on your door.
Is that right?
Yeah. So, yeah.
Now, were they the same soldiers that trained up at Seneca Rocks before they went overseas?
I don't know. Maybe they were. You know, so. Because I was a kid then, you know. I don't know how old I was. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
I can remember Ernie Naggs. You know, he taught junior high English or science. And I can remember him living down there. So, and remember how he had the brace and the limp from where he had infantile paralysis.
I can remember him standing up against the wall and see if your posture was right. He like to do that with girls.
Yeah.
Isn't that awful?
Do you remember Jack Ricco's bar in who was in the tobacco building at that time? I know when I was young, Kaufman's department store moved in that building. Who was in there before then? Would have still been the Tobacco Brothers?
Well, they had a store there too, didn't they? Right next to the varsity.
Right.
On the left-hand side toward the theater.
Right, that was the hardware store, right?
No, they had, the hardware was over on the right.
Okay.
You know.
And what was on the left?
That's further, they had a grocery store in there.
Okay.
Salvatore Tobacco.
So that was his first grocery store, was in that building.
I think so.
All right, they split up later on. Did Jim Cooper own his store by the bank when you moved here?
I think he owned it.
Okay.
You know.
Because, you know, that was the O'Connor building originally. He was from Ireland.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And I guess he ended up leaving town, and that's when Jim Cooper bought it.
He had it quite a few years,
Yeah. And the post office was in that building.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Later on, where Renee Tobacco made her office as president, I can remember when that space was the post office. And Marie Younger was the postmistress.
Yeah.
So, and it was just, probably it was as wide as this space right here, wasn't it?
It wasn't very wide, no.
Yeah.
A little narrow place.
And you still had the mailboxes that had the combination. It's a shame they didn't save some of those.
Yeah. Wonder what they did with those.
You know, down the current post office, they have some from the Douglas post office.
Oh.
Yeah, the next time you're down there, go in and check that out. Those are, they have on there that they might even call it by its new name, which was Albert.
Yeah.
Were the passenger trains still running?
Oh, yeah.
Did you ride the train?
May have rode to Parsons one time.
Oh, really? That's all? You didn't ride it on a regular basis?
No.
Oh, you know, when Mother was expecting my sister Pauletta, that's how she would go to Dr. Leonfeld down at Parsons.
Yeah.
She rode the train.
Yeah. A lot of people rode the train, you know. You remember that old black stuff coming out of
Yes.
landing?
From the old steam engines.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And was there a lot of traffic on the tracks that you remember?
No, not that I remember.
Okay.
You know.
Because I noticed one time when I was down there walking that apparently there were 6 tracks at one time.
There was quite a few, I know. You know, trains came in from everywhere.
Uh-huh.
So.
Do you know where all people could go once they rode the train here in town? I know they could go to Parsons. Where else could they go on the train?
I don't know.
Okay, so you don't know if they could go to Oakland and Elkins? And...
Cumberland, maybe. I don't know.
Okay. Did you ever buy any of the goodies at the Roma or
Nick DeMayo's?
Nick DeMayo's, yes.
Yeah.
What did you get
Peanuts,
there?
Peanuts. Probably peanuts.
Is that where the peanut roaster and the varsity came from?
I don't know. Might have been. Remember all
Do you
the
remember
peanuts in the
that?
window? And he always had a window full of peanuts.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So.
Smells so good.
Uh-huh.
Oof.
Yeah. Did you get his ice cream?
Yeah, we used to sit on the bar stools and have a little ice cream.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you remember the drugstore?
Yeah.
Okay.
John Pace, is his name?
John Pace. Really? He had it when you remember?
Yeah, he worked in there. Yeah.
Okay, did you remember the guy who built it, Dr. Hoffman?
I didn't know him now.
He was gone by the time you came.
But then there was a Dr. Curry.
Yes, I didn't know him. I knew his wife.
Yeah.
So was Doc Curry actually a pharmacist and not a medical doctor?
He might have been just a pharmacist. I'm not sure.
Uh-huh.
You know.
Okay. And Mrs. Curry was a teacher?
Yeah.
Did you have her in school? Who were some of the teachers you had?
I didn't finish school.
But during the time that you did?
Slade Rubenstein.
Oh, really? Okay.
He was a math teacher.
Okay.
Mary Bennett.
Okay.
Mr. Nags.
Now, Miss Bennett taught home ec?
Yeah.
So you had her for that?
Yep.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then did you have Mr. Nags for science?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Was Sally Watson there then?
Oh, yes.
Okay. And
She's a librarian.
she was always the librarian?
Mm-hmm, as far as I know.
So she didn't teach any classes, just library?
I don't know.
Okay. You know, she and Dad's sister Ethel were good friends. Mm-hmm. They taught together.
I remember Ethel.
And, you know, she and Vicki Murhar would come to our house to visit. And, you know, Miss Murhar had a sort of an odd personality, but she was really a nice person. Yeah. And I remembered them both real well. What schools did you go to here? The Thomas School?
Thomas School, yeah.
Okay. And that, was it all 12 grades when you went there?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Were there any particular teachers that you liked especially, or who left an impression with you that you still remember?
No, I like everybody anyway. So.
Say what?
I like everybody anyway, so
I
probably like them.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you ever have Bessie Moran for a teacher?
No.
Okay.
No.
When I had her, you know, she was a milkant, and her dad had one of the stores up on Spruce Street.
John.
Uh-huh. And they were from Lithuania. Mm-hmm. And she would teach us songs in Lithuanian.
Oh, did she?
When we were in school. Uh-huh. Yeah.
They said she was a good teacher.
She was. She was. I liked her. I can remember even when I was little how people sort of looked out for each other
Oh, yeah.
back in the old days. And, if the children were doing something they weren't supposed to, it got home before they did.
The neighbors took care of it.
And if there was a death in the family, all the neighbors would bring a covered dish of some sort to the family to help out with all the company they would get during the bereavement. And
People were good. They've always been good.
yeah, and always knew each other.
Yeah.
And
They still do.
yeah. I can remember we would go to Clarksburg and Elkins for the day to shop on weekends, and the back door would be wide open.
Yeah.
You didn't think a thing of it back
No.
then. So you
Now
knew.
you have to keep them locked.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So times have changed, and
Oh, yeah.
now you don't know your next door neighbor.
People
And
change.
yeah. Over the years, who were some of your neighbors or good friends?
I've always had good neighbors. I still do.
Okay.
My driveway needs plowed. Dave up here will come down and plow it, or my grandson does too.
Uh-huh.
And Terry Nelson,
Okay.
he'll come over and plow it. I've always had good neighbors.
You're still witnessing some sense of community then,
Oh, yeah.
and neighbors helping neighbors.
Yeah, they do. Yeah.
Mura Cooper seemed to be a
Yeah.
big name in
She had
town.
a restaurant.
Okay, now I read where she managed the restaurant in the Metropolitan Hotel. Is that the restaurant that she ended up taking over, or was her restaurant somewhere else?
She had one up. Let's see. There was a liquor store in town too.
Right, in
And
the
hers was
Shalansky's dress shop building.
Where,
That's where her restaurant was?
where Jack Greco had his restaurant. That
Yes.
was Mura's.
Okay, so
where
it was
Mura
in
started. She was
Jack
there.
Ricco's
Yeah.
building.
Yeah.
Okay. What type of food did she serve?
Like burgers and soups and stuff like that. So,
Kind of like short order
yeah, I think she
things?
did, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Did you frequent the Roma restaurant?
Oh yes.
Okay.
Had a nice dance floor upstairs.
Okay.
The Midnighters played. Remember the Midnighters?
No, I don't. I remember the
Oh.
polka dots, but not the Midnighters.
They were great.
What kind of music did they play?
The kind I like.
Big band music?
Yeah, big band. Yeah,
Okay.
they did. They were wonderful, yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Is that where you got to know Dorothy Losh?
No, I didn't know Dorothy well, I've known her for years, but really got to know her from church.
Okay.
Church.
Okay. You and your family go to the Presbyterian church,
Yeah, my
right?
mother-in-law used to play the piano at church.
Oh, really?
Dorothy?
Okay.
Yeah, Dorothy Cangley.
Oh, okay.
Played
I
for
didn't
years.
know that. I knew Dad's sister-in-law, Aunt Ruth, played, but I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Dorothy played for a long time, yeah.
Okay.
Remember they had a little thing upstairs? That's where
I
they-
sure do. The choir loft. Yeah.
she-
That was a nice building.
Yeah. And, yeah, she played years,
Okay. Okay.
She always wanted Fort to play, take lessons.
Uh-huh.
Stubborn wouldn't do it.
Is that right?
He was stubborn, he wouldn't do it, no. But
Okay.
he'd sit down and play by ear.
Uh-huh.
So that was a long time ago too. So.
I always liked her. She was a nice
Yeah,
person.
she was.
She loved to entertain.
She was a little lady. She was a little short lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was. She was a go-getter.
Yeah.
She raised all those kids by herself.
Yeah.
After her husband died.
And I guess that was typical. There was a lot of population here,
Yeah.
but I guess as a whole, life was difficult for people.
She took in washings, clothing to wash and
Uh-huh.
irons and
Uh-huh.
did that to help.
Okay.
And then the boys, when they went away, Johnny and Pork and them, then they'd help her out,
Okay.
They worked away
Okay.
in Cleveland, so.
And those were her sons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay. What type of people frequented the restaurants downtown? Did they each have their own type of clientele, or did different groups of people go there to the different one?
Different groups,
Okay.
Just wander in and sit and have a burger and have a beer.
Uh-huh.
So,
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Yeah, I can remember going to DePolo's store when I was little. And you remember how back in the back, next to the back counter, there was that potbelly stove?
Yeah.
And all the old timers
Yeah.
would sit around that belly stove and
Stories.
have a beer and tell stories. Yes. Yeah, that was always
Johnny's
enjoyable.
was always a busy place.
Uh-huh.
Those guys, so.
Yeah. And then I remember going in, even when I got old enough, going into Buckshot Thayer's place. Yeah. I remember it after Stewart had taken it over. And, Aunt Burl and Uncle Dwayne lived in one of the apartments up over Buckshot's place.
Oh, really?
And their apartment had steps down to the Sportsman's Club.
Oh.
And, Stewart sold liquor by the drink before it was legal.
Oh.
And every time there was going to be a raid, someone would tip Stewart off. And he'd get the patrons together, and they would haul all the whiskey up to Aunt Burl's apartment and hide it so they wouldn't get caught. And even when Aunt Burl got old, they had moved to Cleveland after the mine shut down, and both of them went to work for GM up at Cleveland. But they would come in to visit, and she'd always tell that story and laugh about it. So, and that room to the left side, do you remember the old guys going in there to play poker?
Poker and pool. They used to play a lot down there.
Yeah. So there was a lot of activity down at town.
They were busy.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Would you go downtown and listen to Patsy Santangelo play his trumpet from his balcony or up at the bandstand?
We just stayed around the house.
Uh-huh.
We didn't do anything.
Okay.
So.
The girls didn't get together and swim or anything like that?
I'm telling you, my life wasn't very interesting.
I guess when your first marriage ended, then you ended up raising your children on your own for a while.
Yeah.
When did you and Dawn get married?
66.
Okay.
I worked at Blackwater for about 10 years.
Okay.
So.
Okay.
Made 40 cents an hour.
Really?
That's what we made, yeah.
And that was minimum wage at that time?
I guess so. That's what we got. We got a penny raise one time, so made 41 cents an hour. Try to raise a couple kids on that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, now I remember when you lived up over the bowling alley.
Mm-hmm.
And you were by yourself and your children at that time, right? What children did you have when you were living over the bowling alley on Spruce, or the skating rink over Spruce Street?
Vic and Betsy.
Okay.
That's all.
Okay.
I've lost them both.
And I guess that was one of the tragic parts of your life. You lost your son Vic in Vietnam.
Yep.
And what year was that?
He, 1967, he died. He was over there 2 months.
So he was about like mother's half brother then.
Yeah.
He didn't last long.
Mm.
Yeah.
You know, while he was over there, he met, you remember Francis Massey? You remember Red Massey?
Yes.
Francis, her son?
Yes.
And she met him over there.
So you and Dawn got married the same year you lost Vic?
We got married in 1966. And
The year before?
Yeah.
Okay.
He was going to Fairmont State.
What was it like raising your children in Thomas?
Kind of rough.
Was it?
Yeah, it was, they were good kids.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah.
Did you think it was the type of town where you felt you could let them run off for the day and not worry about them?
Yeah. Yeah. That everybody'd look out for them. You know?
Yeah.
There's always something, you know.
Do you remember the tornado in 1947?
It took part of Alex Restaurant, I think, the top off of the Alex Restaurant at that time.
Is that right?
Yeah, it was called the Tap Room, remember, or the Bloody Bucket.
I remember the tap room.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then it was called the Bloody Bucket.
Okay.
People would just drink and fight.
Okay. Oh, shoot.
Oh, there were some good ones around here. Remember Del Signor's fighting down on Front Street?
Oh, I'll tell
They were
you.
always fighting. The winters isn't anything like we used to have. We used to have drifts as high as this house, you know. Remember the cutters they used to go up through Canaan cutting the road open? Yeah, bad.
The drifts would be as high as
Oh,
this
yeah.
room where they'd go
Yeah.
through, wouldn't it?
Yeah. But it's mild anymore. Last year we didn't have very much.
Remember downtown, all the buildings had coal chutes
Yeah.
where they would have the metal
That's
lid,
Yeah.
even with the sidewalk, and when
Yeah.
they'd get coal for the season, they would put it down those
All right.
chutes on the sidewalk. So everybody heated with coal, and that was
Yeah,
a
they did.
warm heat, wasn't
Yeah,
it?
It was. Dirty heat.
It was.
So dirty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you
When
know,
we first moved here, we used coal. I still
Right.
have the furnace, we diverted it to electric. You
Yeah.
know?
when we
Gas.
bought our house, it
Gas.
had a coal furnace.
Yeah.
And, you know, that was a 3-story house, still is a 3-story house. And that furnace would heat that whole house.
Mhm.
So, in fact, it would get so warm sometimes, you'd have to crack the
Oh,
windows
yeah.
a little bit.
Yeah, you did. Remember banking them at night to keep.
Yeah, you had a lever on your furnace where you would
Yeah.
Do that.
Put it down.
And then you would just have the warm glow on the
Yeah.
coal until the next morning. Yeah.
Stoke it up and put more coal in there. But it was so dirty. I found coal dirt from probably still some around someplace.
Yeah.
So, but it was good coal, good heat.
Yeah. Anything else you can remember that you'd like to
So
share?
probably after you leave, then I'll think of things.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
This concludes our interview with Ann Cangley, a longtime resident of Thomas, West Virginia, and her experience living here.